Good afternoon. On behalf of Sir John Cass School and the students involved, I'd like to welcome you to Question Time. Today, we will be discussing some of the key issues affecting young people in London, including Brexit, Islamophobia, and the Grenfell disaster. We have Naima Kali as our independent voice and poet, Jawad Nadim as our right-centre journalist, Naima Rahman as our conservative politician, Asghar Ali as our independent voice and social worker, Tamana Hussain as our centre-left journalist, and Sumaya Abdi Ali as our Labour politician. Our first topic of discussion is based on Brexit, which revolves around the question, was Brexit the right decision for British society or not?
So first of all, as a Conservative politician, I believe that Brexit is good for Britain and it is good for British society. Why I say that is because, first of all, although Britain will lose its connection with the EU, trade will still continue. It is not the idea that trade will not continue. Britain can continue to set up their own trades and negotiate with other countries, for example, Canada. And as Boris Johnson said, by using and negotiating trade deals with other countries, for example, Canada and China, Boris Johnson said that it will become as a very bright future for Britain.
Sumaya, as our Labour politician, what would you have to say?
I'm afraid I'd have to disagree with the Conservative Party on Brexit, as I didn't believe it's the best choice to leave the EU. It would create limited access to the free market being the market that we trade with different countries from the European Union, that we've traded with since the 1978, since the European Union started. This would make trade far more difficult. One of our major industries in this country, such as the car industry, the aerospace industry, and the pharmaceutical industry, are all very much involved in the EU. And by leaving the EU, this would mean these industries can lack in bringing money into our country and can also cause instability to such industries.
Firstly, leaving the EU is a good thing. So Theresa May states that it allows Britain to be in control of its money, its rules, and its borders. But also, these changes that's happening in the UK, it gives the UK an opportunity to start adopting a much more independent, self-confident, and assertive role on the world stage. And all these changes, they're happening for a reason. When things happen, it takes a while to adjust to all the changes. So there will be a transition period. And this transition period, it will help to get everything in place. It will allow businesses and others to prepare for the moment when the new post-Brexit rules between the UK and the EU begin.
Now listen to this, already there are 942,000 workers in the EU that come to the UK for jobs, and 2.93 million workers outside the EU who come to Britain to work. Now imagine controlling the border for Brexit, which means that more jobs will be readily available for those already living in Britain.
In 1972, Parliament enacted the European Communities Act that had the effect of making UK law subordinate to the EU law. The government had a say in leaving the EU. However, the Parliament were not able to be given the opportunity to speak up because the EU had so much influence on our laws.
And I think we should stay with the EU because the EU helps us prosper in ways that not being with the EU helps us. And also, due to Brexit, taxes would rise. So if taxes are going to rise and many businesses are going to lose out on profit, how are they going to tax people? Are they going to start taking from benefits, or are they going to start taking from the poor?
Tamana?
So, in terms of the NHS, what about the workforce? Where we have 10,000 EU workers that are already leaving, 10 EU doctors, nurses that have already left because of the vote for Brexit. And we have 160,000 EU workers that are in health and social care.
With less people coming into Britain from the EU, more people from the UK who are undergraduates can also apply for those jobs, who may now be jobless but will have a job which will secure their future as well as Britain's future.
However, countries such as Germany or other European countries, their education is very skill-based. Therefore, we will be lacking the skill that other countries have. we're only going to get one variation of education when there's such a big variety in the EU which can support our system and build our economy.
What more can be done to tackle Islamophobia? Islamophobia is the irrational fear of people who practice Islam as well as the religion itself.
There's not a lot of people are aware that there's been a 70% rise in Islamophobic hate crime, and there's been a 35% rise in general hate crime. And a lot of those hate crimes are specifically towards people who are Muslim.
Can't always put the pressure on the government. I feel like in certain topics like this, where the topic is very touchy, like we should approach it in a very humble and nice manner. We should actually take stand as the people, the very people that is affecting. I don't think we should be fearful of the actual attacks. I think we should stand up and show our power.
People, especially those in the majority race, they do not hate Muslims, and they don't hate Muslims themselves. They hate the people who undergo the action of terrorism. They hate that minority. And what I want to quote Mehdi Hassan in the University of Oxford Press in a debate that he done, he said that if a small minority is doing it, then why are we all doing it? We're not doing enough, it's just absurd. Let me take you to legislation. The Equality Act of 2010 and the Discrimination Act both state that it is punishable by law if a person does discriminate and is racist or in any way.
There could be so much done. First, the government has to give us the opportunity, and then we as a society should act on it. And I think there should be so many events that should be taking place around fields, like for example in Bethnal Green there's a massive field, Rivers Field, that events that should take place that put Christians, Jews, Muslims all together, have fun, discuss,
The top state primary school, St. Stephen's Primary School, banned girls under the age of 8 from wearing a hijab, and the school stated that they did this in terms of trying to integrate these girls into the British community, because the Muslim community is apparently more separated from British society. But if we don't change this mindset, if we believe that they're justified in what they're doing, then we stereotype Islamophobia. We become accustomed to that.
So how would you respond to the hijab ban? Do you think that's going to tackle it? Do you not think that's extreme yourself?
Well, I wouldn't say it's extreme. Well, to some extent it is extreme, but you need to think about the fact that there is identity issues. So there have been incidents
But
where
clearly wearing the hijab is part of the religion. It's something that is taught.
It's part of the religion, but what if some girls decide not to wear the hijab?
That's what if.
Well, you do have girls out there that don't want to wear a hijab. They are forced. A lot of girls that you see, they're forced to wear it. It's not something that they're raised to wear. It's something that they're forced, and they want to make.
If you're going to say it like that, many people throughout the country are, told to do something they're not told, they don't want to do. So you can't necessarily use that as a point.
But we need to think about what's happening now, about identity issues, about people using the hijab, the niqab to get into the UK to carry out certain activity which is affecting other people.
The hijab comes to a point where until the age of puberty, the girls should start wearing the hijab. Yes, it is good to wear the hijab earlier, but is it compulsory? No.
Yeah, but something you can say from that is you want to be taught it, you want to fall in love with it, not just put on it on that specific age. If you think about it, that's also forced, isn't it? But if you do it from a young age, you're kind of taught to do it, you're kind of, integrated into it. That's how I was, and I don't think I'm, a threat to anyone.
You can always learn without actually doing it. A person, a Muslim young woman, can be taught, the beauty of the hijab, but necessarily they don't mean that they have to wear hijab now. It's just that they can wear it obviously at the age of puberty.
Joe had said something about children going over to ISIS to go over and fight and that, and he's saying that I think the reason that's happening is because the media isn't portraying it properly, and that's the problem. Because if people knew about Islam properly, they knew that ISIS terrorism is completely, doesn't even fall under Islam at all. So I feel like that point was void that you said earlier. I want you to elaborate that a bit further.
I'd actually like to agree with that. And the problem is, in the media, there's this idea of Islam, 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 and if there was an understanding of Islam, they'd understand that Islam doesn't actually agree with the claims that they're making. So, you know, it's like saying, you've done something, but Samaya, 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 when I haven't actually done it. So it's, you know, detachment between terrorism and Islam, and it's a lack of understanding and a lack of education to people about a problem that's in our society which should be educated about.
You know, Islam is all about, you know, peace. It's all about being united together. I mean, you should first look at the community. The community should work together to fight off these stereotypes about teenagers going to Syria. Then you should blame the government before anything else. So as a community, I think you should work together to tackle all these problems first.
Yeah, I'm questioning, how are you sure that countries are going to come in and say they want to negotiate and trade with you guys?
Before this goes to the Conservative Party, I'd just like to, you know, add to that. And it's what I was coming back to about stability. And how do you know you are going to trade? And how do you know that we're going to be a stable future? They've said that statistics by the NHS, and the NHS will improve by how many numbers and how many money. But while we're still in the transition period, the NHS is coming to a really big period of like error and decline. So how can you reinsure the future when you can't even reinsure the present?
Especially people like Nigel Farage who promised 400 million to the NHS. Where's that 400 million?
It takes time.
Did the Grenfell disaster happen due to the government favouring money over the people? So this catastrophic event occurred on the 14th of June 2017 due to an outbreak of fire.
I think they did put money before people, because this is a 24-storey building we're talking about, and only about approximately 200,000 was put onto the cladding. When landmarks such as Buckingham Palace, which are already developed, are like 300 million pounds is being used to refurbish it. Fair enough, when it comes to tourism and making money, they would make a lot of money. But what's the point of making money when the citizens of Britain are going to die?
So £24 million were spent on rehousing for the survivors. £12 million were used for managed for the Grenfell Tower site. £10 million for mental health support. £6 million for funeral costs and cash payment to survivors, and £3 million for welfare centres. So are you trying to tell me that the government is, you know, favouring money over people?
I think Grenfell wasn't just a catastrophe. I think it was systematic failure, poor organisation, and it's an act, I feel, of regenerating the country to a country just about economy and just about business and not people. This can be seen through many cuts that have been made before the Grenfell catastrophe occurred, such as cuts on health and safety, specifically in council housing and social housing. I think with the Conservative government being in place, there's a lack of care and a lack of money being put into social housing. People in the tower had already pre-warned the government, had already pre-warned Kensington and Chelsea Council about unsafe cladding and unsafe refurbishment in the building. And even some of these people who have died after the attack were the same people who warned the government.
For a fire of this magnitude. Another point that I would like to make is that no, we didn't put money in front of people. We put people in front of money, and I'll tell you why. After the Grenfell incident, 7 fire reports, all consisting of 47 pages, were sent out to all the survivors and all those who had lived in Grenfell disaster to be more prepared for a fire of that magnitude or even worse. So that begs the question: if we weren't putting the people in, if we were putting money in front of people, why would we put such actions such as pay fire reports? And also, Nick Hurd, one of our Conservative MPs, had wrote letters to all the Grenfell survivors, notifying and mentioning the refurbishment that will take place. Again, that begs the question: if we did not care about the people, or if you put the money in front of people, would we really take those actions into place?
It's about what actions the government took leading up to this event. So a report published in 2015 showed that since 2010 there has been a reduction in funding that's between 26 and 39%. And since this report was published in 2015, you have to imagine how long in the 3 years what other reductions were made. And our previous Prime Minister, David Cameron himself said that some risks cannot be eliminated and that accidents are inevitable. So what he's basically saying is that they were prepared to let some accidents happen, that they knew something, maybe not to this extreme, but they knew that the reductions in funding would mean our health and safety would be compromised.
Many of the Grenfell survivors have been promised by Theresa May that by June they'll be rehoused all in 3 weeks. Still not done yet. And this is the same thing, it comes back to regeneration, and it comes back to the idea that it's not about, housing, it's not about people, it's about the government moving forward with an economy and with one class and with one system. And I think it goes back to lack of care, and it's definitely money over people. In fact, it's the people that make the economy, not the economy that makes the people.
After what has happened with the Grenfell Tower, how can we be ensured that our lives are safe?
And the government has promised £34 million, which obviously takes the budget up to £8 million. So to ensure safety, the government will use this money to ensure that high-rise buildings will have fire regulations installed, to ensure that claddings are not used for high-rise buildings, to ensure that emergency exits are provided as well, and refurbishment.
And Jawed mentioned a lot of figures of how the government have helped the survival of Grenfell. But don't you think that if you put in extra money before you built the building and spent more money on making it a safe building, you wouldn't have spent as much of this money on the survivors of Grenfell, and you would have avoided a lot of lives being lost.
I completely agree with you. I feel like the government is just doing damage control, trying to get people off their backs, because people are outraged at what happened, because this is people's lives we're talking about.
And we have to find a way in which we can prevent it the next time. And the way we can prevent it during next time is with these fire reports and having these precautions in case there is a fire of this magnitude next time.
Please give a round of applause for our three producers. For our three producers, Zarin, Naima and Sham. And the directing team led by Nessa and Afnan. For the organisation, maturity and determination. Without them, this production would not have been possible. We would also like to extend our thank yous to Mr. Rothan, Ms. Patel, Anwar, Sharifa, Philippe, who have guided us throughout. And finally, we thank you, the audience, for taking time to join us and sharing your invaluable contribution. Thank you all and have a safe journey home.
I've got something to say as well. I would also like to thank Sadia, Akhtar, Nathan, Johannes and Ashita for helping us with the Tyrese as well for helping us film this event.
Thank you and have a safe journey home.